What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome back to MKO Boxing, aka MKO Pugilism, where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube, follow on TikTok, all that good stuff. So, yeah, let's get into it. So, last night was an epic night. Great night of boxing in terms of the main event. And I want to tell you this, even as we get into this, that this fight here, Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, this was definitely for me a fight of the year contender. It's one of those fights that we can say, right, when probably they look at the end of 2025, this is going to be one of those where it's going to be looked at as sort of a fight of the year thing. Um, Overall, it was tough. It was an out and out brawl. I thought Chris Eubank Jr. going into this fight, I predicted Chris Eubank to win by points, but I didn't think it would be as good a fight as it was last night. So, you know, even before the fight began, there was dramas because Chris Eubank Sr., who'd been sort of going against this fight from a long time ago, was dead against it. Was saying, you know, I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be in my son's corner on this one because of they're breaking the rules, etc., etc. And I was quite critical, really, going into this. I thought that was a bit of a negative thing he put on it, that he wasn't going to go and support his son. You know, I thought at least the least he could do is go and support him and be there, be with him, be in the corner, do what you got to do to support him at this moment. So, and in the end, the great thing is that that's exactly what he did. He, you know, he came and arrived with his son, came out of the Rolls Royce Cullinan. I mean, prior to them, you saw Nigel Benn, you know, with Conor Benn making that long journey to go to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And yeah, it was great to see Chris Eubank Sr. back before the opening bell as they done the ring walks. Eubank walked last, and you know, Senior went in, gave Nigel Benn a hug, gave Conor Benn a hug, and was like, yeah, this is family affair. So that was great. That was nostalgia to see that. And with this fight, as it began, Chris Eubank Jr. began quite well behind the jab. Conor Benn was looking to walk in with big shots. Chris Eubank Jr. for moments, for a time, they were quite nip and tuck, quite tight rounds, the first sort of 3-4 rounds. But Chris Eubank Jr. for me had the slightly better work, not by a big margin, but by sort of a small margin. Um, Conor Benn did have his little moments in there, and one thing that was apparent is that Conor Benn, you know, didn't struggle to sort of make to make the weight and to take the shots. He took all the shots from Chris Eubank quite well early on, and landed his own. It looked like he hurt Chris Eubank as well early on in the fight. So I think by the look of both men, it was pretty close first 4 rounds. I think you could maybe have Chris Eubank Jr. up by then by about 5, but not really by much. I think it was very much nip and tuck, not by much. And Conor Benn was having his successes too. One thing that was apparent for me in this fight is that I think Chris Eubank Jr. was definitely affected by the weight cut. You could tell that, you know, he was holding the shots kind of all right, but you could tell there was a bit of weakness there. There was a lot of yeah. It looked to be breathing quite heavily from pretty early. I want to say around sort of 6-7. He was breathing quite heavy, which normally he's got a good engine, but I think taking that weight off of him and the rehydration thing, I think that really did genuinely affect Chris Eubank Jr. So the fight wore on. Conor Benn sort of came more into his own, came alive in the mid rounds, was landing some good explosive combinations. There were many moments there where Chris Eubank Jr. was sort of coming off second best, and the fight for me was very close, very even. You know, even as we got to the championship rounds, as we got to round 9, round 10, the fight was quite even because Conor Benn was having his moments, and then Chris Eubank Jr. was coming back, and for me, I thought where Eubank Jr. kind of came alive and where he kind of took hold of the fight and took the fight was those last couple of rounds, those last rounds, sort of 10, 11, and partially in 9, because he had a big 10, 11, 12. He had good, especially 11 and 12, good rounds. And where what he would do is he would kind of smother Conor Benn, he would kind of hold him and lean on him and make it so that, yes, Conor Benn does his work, but then Chris Eubank Jr. would lean on him and work away and wail away with good combinations. And you could tell Eubank Jr. was exhausted by the end, but he kept doing this clever thing of, allowing Conor Benn to work, but just work a little bit. And then as Conor Benn gets to work, he then throws punches at the same time. And when Chris Eubank Jr. does the work, he's making sure he's pushing Conor Benn back and sort of wailing away and working away with him. So, yeah, it's a good win for Chris Eubank. I mean, I thought it was closer than what the judges said. The judges had it 8-4 to Chris Eubank Jr. They had it 116 to 112. I thought it was probably close. I thought maybe Eubank by about 2 rounds at the most. But yeah, it was a good fight. Very, very close. Very much a brawl, a slugfest. And Chris Eubank Jr. just overall proved his size matters and everything. And, done it for his family's legacy, because there were certain times it looked like he was going to go, he was going to be taken out, and where he was just out of it. He just didn't have the energies to win the fight. So he really overcame a lot of obstacles in that fight. Conor Benn really did hold his own and prove that he can fight at a high level. And yeah, overall, very, very good performance, and an excellent fight. Just as a spectacle, obviously these guys are not elite. They're not the best fighters in the world, but as far as like a brawl, a contest, a fight where you're really at the edge of your seat when you're watching it, this was one of those exceptional fight. And yeah, let me know what your thoughts are of this fight in the comment section below. Until next time, it's MKO Boxing, over and out.